everyone, and welcome to the video. So I want to talk about what, in my opinion, is the biggest problem with Saints Row right now. And I'm particularly talking about the reboot, as you can imagine. So, overall, I don't think the reboot's as bad as some people say it is. It's definitely not the best Saints Row, but it's got some elements I do really genuinely like, and I still do like the reboot. But one issue I do have with it is there's not a great deal to do. And I think that's, in my opinion, the biggest issue with the reboot because, you know, a story that's kind of half-assed is not the biggest issue in the world. You know, a story that's clearly had good content. I mean, if the story's bad, it's annoying, I know, but it's not the end of the world for a game. You know, there's some games with bad stories, but the gameplay can carry it over. But with the reboot, while the gameplay, in my opinion, is fun, you know, it's a fun gameplay loop, I enjoy it, I don't have much reason to keep going on to enjoy it. And that, to me, is kind of my biggest gripe. Now, with previous Saints Row games, I think it equally had this issue. I don't think that this is exclusive to the reboot, but the payoff with the other games is you could always go through and relive the story, because the story was at a standard that I felt you would get a lot of enjoyment from replaying a good amount of times. I mean, Saints Row 3, I beat that a ton, and even though that's probably the weakest story in the franchise, excluding the reboot, it still was enjoyable enough, and it still got you invested enough that you did want to play through and complete it. I don't think the reboot story has the same loop, which really drags away from a lot of reasons I would hop on to Saints Row. Now, I do think that this game's gameplay loop is better than Saints Row the Third, and I do think it offers much more reason to hop on to Saints Row, so I think it beats Saints Row the Third in that regard, but the other Saints Rows, I'm not quite as sure. I mean, Saints Row 2 just has so much depth to it that you can kind of just spend hours exploring and going around and just doing everything. There's so many activities, there's so much you can do, and it's constantly just pumped with content. Saints Row 1, maybe less so, but what I'll give Saints Row 1 is its story is good enough that you do hop on for that in specific, and its activities are fun and rewarding, and it can be quite a challenge, plus all the Hitman objectives and stuff, there's plenty to do. Saints Row 4, the superpowers really make it fun, and it makes it worth kind of hopping on over and over to kind of mess around with the superpowers and just have some fun and cool shenanigans. But with the reboot, I'm left kind of wondering, what am I hopping on for? Because Criminal Ventures aren't enough. In my opinion, they're quite repetitive, and I know they are making a considerable effort to fixing it. I do commend it because it is getting better, but the Criminal Ventures, content-wise, are not enough. I mean, yeah, they can be kind of boring, but even besides that, they're just not they're not a reason to hop on the game. And I'm hoping that the DLC and expansion pass does improve this. I'm not coming on here just to shit over the reboot, because I do enjoy the game. And besides stuff like just driving around, customization, and kind of messing around with some of the features in the game, there's just not a great deal to do, and I think it's kind of getting to the point where we are going to start to need something to do shortly. The game has been out a little while now. It's been out for well over 60 days, and quite frankly, people are moving away. People already have moved away. A lot of people, you know, I mean, I'm not even just talking about the haters, I mean, fans are moving away from it, because there's not a great deal to do. I mean, obviously there's a ton of people out there that go, oh, the reboot's bad, grr, I'm moving away. But even pushing those to the side and looking at the reboot fans won't keep playing the reboot because there's not much to do in the reboot. And I think that when even a game's own fan base is starting to get a little bored, like, I would call myself a reboot fan. I'm a fan of the game. I think it's pretty fun for the most part. Not its number one fan, but I still think the game is a decent game. But I think that when you are even getting your own fan base to become a bit bored of that, you know, and getting fans of the game, like I said, to become a little bored of it, it's kind of time for an update. And it's kind of time for something new and fresh. Now, again, I'm hoping that the expansion pass will fix this, but I wanted to kind of just talk about it because I know a lot of you guys are feeling it. So the point of this video is basically to say I really hope that this expansion pass can come through and deliver us a lot of reasons to hop on the game, because the base game currently hasn't got a great deal. And maybe it's just because I've played it to death, or maybe I've played it too much, but for me, I don't find as many reasons to pick up Saints Row as I once did. And that, to me, is an issue. And I'm hoping, again, that the expansion pass can fix that. Anyway, let me know what you think. Is Saints Row kind of getting boring for you? Let me know down below. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you soon.